In time to call this meeting to order. If you give me your attention, please, if you would check your cell phones. If they're on, if you would silence them, it would be great. It just gets old sometimes hearing this, but if it does ring, if you'll just go outside, answer it, and then come back, it's no problem to do that. I will now call on Commissioner Deal. He's going to lead us with the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, Lord. And Lord, just help us always to remember those blessings always come from you. Lord, we just thank you for the men and women who serve to protect us from all the many freedoms that we can have so that we can have meetings like this. Thank you for our men and women who serve our first responders and who've kept us safe through all the storms here lately. Lord, I just pray that you'll please bless each family that's here, bless each of the commissioners and the board and county staff. Thank you for letting us be able to have meetings like this. In your name I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I now call on Miss Mitzi White to call the roll for the commissioners.
Okay. I, Venus Mitzi White, present as Clerk of the Board of Commissioners of Bulloch County, hereby call the roll for those on the governing body. All those present shall answer by saying aye. Chairman Roy Thompson.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Ray Mosley.
Aye.
Commissioner Timmy Rushing.
Aye.
Commissioner Anthony Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Toby Connor.
Aye.
Commissioner Kurt Deal.
Aye.
And Commissioner Jappy Stringer. I've determined that we have all members of the Board of Commissioners present. Therefore, we have a quorum to conduct business for the good of the citizens of Bulloch County. I now yield the floor back to the chairman.
Thank you. I have a proclamation. I'm going to call the young ladies up that are here. Any of y'all know what drug and alcohol addiction is all about?
Yeah.
Have a family member? Possibly you yourselves in the past, hopefully. Well, I've had family members also, so this is very, very, very dear to my heart, what you're fixing to hear. And these young ladies, I visited their business the other day, and I was very, very, very impressed with what I saw. And you are now open to help folks, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do me a favor. Would you introduce? I have forgotten all the names.
You're totally fine. Yes, absolutely. My name is Catherine Tootle. I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means is that it's been 7 years since I've had any mood or mind-altering substances to change the way I deal with my life. And yes, thank you. We are so very honored because this is the first time that recovery has been lifted up. The voice has been lifted up for all of us who are looking for another way of life. We need to tell our stories to share hope. September is Recovery Month, and he has so graciously accepted to read a proclamation, but I am also the Director of Freedom Through Recovery, and what we do is share our lived experience with the next person walking in. When people come into our doors, it's totally free services, just so you know. We are all certified recovery peer support specialists, and what qualifies us is our experience of making it to the other side. And so we have been gracious and grateful enough to be here and operating for about 5 years now. And what we do is we offer individual peer support We have all kind of support groups for the family members of and for the people seeking recovery. We offer the Narcan for free. Just so you know, if anyone out here needs free Narcan, we are the people to get it from. And that is for the opioid overdose reversal. When you go to a pharmacy, it can be anywhere from $75 to $150. And we get it under a grant. And this is my teammates. This is Sydney Hardy and Julia. Would y'all like to add anything?
I'm Sydney. I'm a woman in long-term recovery. What that means for me is it's been 5 years since I've used any drugs or alcohol, and I'm honored to serve our recovery community and our community of Likewise, I'm Julia Curiel. It's been 3 years for me that I've been in long-term recovery, and I'm very grateful and very honored to be here serving others and trying to help them find their way to the other side.
You know, what's so good about this, they've been there, done that, and here they are trying to help people.
Yes.
You know.
We want to make Bulloch County more accessible to recovery. We're here for it.
My kids would not mind me saying this, I've got 2 kids that's been through programs. Takes a while sometimes. But sometimes it takes a lot of while, doesn't it?
Yes.
Now, I'm gonna read this, it's half as long as some, but sometimes they're long, but bear with me. And if my glasses will stay clear, we'll get through this. I may leave off some of these whereases, but behavioral health is an essential part of one's overall health and well-being. And whereas recovery from addiction occurs every day through a variety of recovery support services and treatment programs. And prevention of substance use disorders works. Treatment is effective and people recover across Georgia and around the nation, and millions of people across the United States are living happy, joyous, and free in long-term recovery. And whereas the 2023 Mobilized Recovery Across Georgia bus tour celebrates that recovery is real and recognizes that we are never alone on the journey through recovery. And the Mobilized Recovery Across Georgia, Georgia Recovers bus tour will deliver 100 overdose aid kits to communities across Georgia to be accessible in government buildings, and education throughout our communities about recovery and addiction is essential to combating the stigma and discrimination faced by many people in recovery. Whereas to help more people experience and sustain long-term recovery, the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Department of Disabilities, the Clinton Foundation, the Georgia Council for Recovery, Mobilized Recovery, Serve You Prescribed Medication, and the Georgia General Assembly Working Group on Addiction and Recovery invite all residents of the state of Georgia to participate in the National Recovery Month. Now therefore, I, Roy Thompson, Chairman of the Bulloch County Board of Commissioners of Bulloch County, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of Bulloch County, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2023 as National Recovery Month. And this is signed by all the commissioners. And I invite y'all to do something. It's next Wednesday? Tuesday. They will be at Sweetheart Circle. A lot of people will be speaking. I hope there'll be a lot of, I shouldn't say college students, kids, but anybody that needs the help. That's who I would love to see there. And so.
It's from 6 to 9 p.m.
And that means come just at 6 and stay to 9.
Correct.
Because it's going to be entertaining. Like I said, it may help you help one of your children, one of your grandchildren. I see folks all the time that never thought that their kids would get into these problems, but they do, and they need help. And so I'm going to keep the proclamation.
Okay.
I get to speak, I hope at 6 o'clock.
Yes. Mr. Roy's going to speak for us. his experience.
One out of a bunch.
Yeah.
But it'll be a little different than here tonight. But, I'm gonna keep this, we'll read it again next Tuesday night. And so, a big round of applause.
Thank you.
We're gonna take another minute and get a picture with the commissioners coming down also. Hopefully y'all don't mind.
This is such a huge deal for us. Thank y'all for being patient. It's such a huge deal.
All right, you want,
Yes.
y'all come over on the other side of me. And I'll just. Everybody- Hold on, just, let me get these things.
You want me to put them right here?
I'll do that for yours. Catch these tears in that picture.
That's right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you. See you later.
I'm sure all of y'all have looked over the zoning agenda, and I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Second.
I have a motion, second, any discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. Zoning agenda is now approved. Mr. James, if you'll take over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 tonight is a rezone request by R&H Development Company, who has submitted an application to rezone 60.2 acres from Ag 5 to an R40 residential 40,000 square foot lot minimum for the purpose of a single-family residential subdivision. Property is located on Schuman Road and Old River Road. And Jim Anderson will be acting as agent. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended a denial by 4-0 vote, and staff recommends a denial of the rezone request. However, if approval is granted, staff has a few conditions for consideration. On the screen, you'll see a star outlined in red. That is the approximate location of the proposed rezone on the eastern portion of the county. This is the current zoning map of the property. As you'll see, Ag 5 property is currently what it is zoned, as well as adjacent properties around it. Currently, the property is used in an agricultural use. And this is the property as it is on Old River Road. Old River Road is a county-maintained paved road. Schuman Road is a county-maintained dirt road. There are a number of single-family homes near the property. Otherwise, agricultural use surrounds the property. And this is the sketch or concept plan that was provided by the applicant for the rezone consideration. And with that, I'll entertain any questions, or I will turn it over to Mr. Jim Anderson, who is acting as agent.
Let me clarify one thing about the time. Each side will have 10 minutes. And so that's the way we've done it. And we've got 80 people signed up to speak. All opposed. So you need a spokesperson. When that clock says 10, then we will stop. And so as many of you can speak. We'll start. Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to give the podium to Mr. Steve Rushing to do the presentation for R&H Development, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I am Steve Rushing. I'm an attorney here in Statesboro. I know I'm new to this project, but I know that you have heard this application previously. But tonight I do represent R&H Development Company Incorporated. Of course, its principal is Mr. Robert K. Bell, Jr. Unfortunately, Mr. Bell could not be present tonight, having already made plans to be out of town today when this commission voted to table the vote last meeting and to this meeting. However, this application is very important to him, so he has made special arrangements while at the airport to be present via video here on his assistant Shelby's laptop. So he can see you and hear you and can answer questions if needed. You have basically heard from the interested parties already. Mr. Bell did reach out to the spokesperson from the last meeting about a one-on-one meeting, which he may have been uncomfortable doing as he wanted a group to be present. And for obvious reasons, Mr. Bell was not comfortable meeting with a group. So nothing was really accomplished in a search for some common ground. So I don't intend to rehash everything that you have already heard, but I will present a short summary and reserve the rest of my time. Mr. Bell, through his company, is the owner of the property. As you know, he is a developer of residential developments. Some successful ones that he has developed includes Chatham Place, Ashford, River Bluff. All of these are very popular. They're selling houses as quickly as they can build them. But this basically means that this particular property has already been taken out of agricultural use. In fact, it wasn't very good for farming anyway, given the sandy soil, but such soil does work really well for residential septic systems. There is already a great demand for housing all over the county, but particularly in the 30415 zip code area. And that's at present. This does not even count the anticipated growth that will come with the Hyundai plant in nearby Bryan County, or the opening of the 5 other plants right here in Bulloch County that are expected to come online in the next 1 to 2 years. Mr. Bell originally proposed this property for an R25 zoning prior to the moratorium. However, acknowledging some of the same concerns that were made then, he withdrew that application and came back after the moratorium with this R40 plan. He is prepared to meet or address all of the provisions of the new subdivision ordinance, which was added during the moratorium to benefit and protect the citizens of Bulloch County. As you may recall, that to remain in an Ag 5 zoning residential development, such subdivision ordinance would not apply. So all of these benefits and protections would be lost. Also, rather than having the one access from Old River Road as proposed on the screen, there would be no new roads in the Ag 5 zone. So the larger lots would have to have their own separate accesses to both Old River Road and to Schuman Road. So allowing the R40 zone will result in more benefits and protections to the community as well as to the residents of the development. These would be homes in the $325,000 plus price range. So these would be very quality homes. Now, more homes would be permitted on less land than in the Ag 5 zone. So granting this application will address the housing demand. It will result in a higher quality development that is subject to the new subdivision ordinance that was put into place by this commission, and would be better protect the concerns of these members of the community who are here tonight. So we respectfully request that you grant this application for an R40 zone for this property. Again, Mr. Bell and I are present, as well as Mr. Anderson, whom you've heard from before. We thank you for your time, and we'll reserve the rest of our time. Thank you.
Jerome Groover. Yeah, Jerome Groover, they have on page 1. Let's see. Eleanor Ellis, somebody put page 1 at the top.
Thank you all this evening for the opportunity to address the commissioners. We feel this is a very important matter. My name is Eleanor Ellis. I'm the owner of Evermore Farm, a 30-year-plus-year agricultural business in Bulloch County, and a neighbor of the land that we're discussing this evening. Excuse me. Prior to owning my horse farm, my educational background has been in public policy and public administration, and my business and work experience has been in real estate development and property management for International Paper Corporation. I see both sides of this coin. We are representing a group of over 600 concerned and, as we know, passionate citizens, over 50 of whom are here this evening. While we recognize a property owner's right to sell land and to purchase land, we also recognize the need to be mindful of the impact that it makes on others. We are living in changing times. We do know that there is a lot of development coming. You created a roadmap to dealing with these changes with the Smart Bulloch 2040 Comprehensive Plan. And then you took the time to amend this plan based on these changing times. The Bulloch 2040 Plan, quote, establishes a clear vision of the kind of place a community wants to be in the future and provides a course of action to build what stakeholders envision, unquote. According to your published information about this plan, quote, the intent is to direct the likely growth into a more defined area for development with planned infrastructure, while at the same time protecting as much agriculture and rural residential land as possible. If successful, we can prevent the fiscal risks and fallout to the taxpayer that leapfrog development creates. This is leapfrog development. It is placing an out-of-character rural neighborhood smack in the middle of nowhere. If you look at your map, you will see that it is exactly in the center between Leafield and Stilson, 5 miles in either direction, with nothing but farmland and Ag 5 houses around it. Please have the courage to stick with the plan that you and your zoning commissions have come up with. If we start panic planning now, the county will look vastly different for our children in a very negative way. We have the opportunity now to choose the path for the future, but only if you hold to what is best for all. You have started down this road. Please don't give it up with the very first variance request that comes along. If you approve this variance, there is a line of other developers ready with additional variance requests for the Old River Road South Corridor. There will be a domino effect that will result in the leapfrog development that your plan seeks to prevent. This plan is available to the public and has been. The Schuman Road property was purchased knowing that it was zoned Ag 5. This was an investment that depends on you voting to change the zoning of this property. This planning should apply to all of the residents, not just the developers. It should also protect those that already live in this area and those who choose to move to this established agricultural area. The Smart 2040 Plan reflects that. Your responsibility to all of us is just as strong as your responsibility to those that seek to go against your published plan and the stated goals of the Bulloch 2040 Plan, quote, creating certainty where development will occur and to steer development into the right places, unquote. While we know that growth is coming to our area, we ask the commissioners to stand by their own plan and deny the zoning request. Otherwise, there's no reason to have a plan. We know that there's pressure to make these changes. We also know that there's pressure to keep the zoning as is. Please do the right thing for the people of South Bulloch County and deny this rezoning request for leapfrog development on Old River Road South. Thank you.
Amy Taylor.
Good evening.
Ms. Taylor, I'm sorry. I just wanted to confirm, you have a video that you're wanting to
Got
show?
several pictures. that-
Pictures? Okay. I just want to make sure that you
Yes.
still want to go through. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Amy Taylor. My husband and I, along with our 13-year-old son, live at 762 Schuman Road. We moved here in 2019 to follow our dreams of country living. Our home is on our 5-acre lot directly across the Schuman Road from the property in question. The proposed development is quite literally in our front yard. Before moving forward, I would like everyone in opposition that is here this evening, that is not in opposition of the change to rezone the property of Toffic from Ag 5 to R40 to please stand. In opposition. In addition to those behind me, we have over 600 signatures compiled in favor of our petition to oppose the rezoning of this property. Furthermore, there are a number of these individuals that were born and raised on and around Schuman Road, and the farming and rural lifestyle has been ingrained in their roots for many generations. There is also a comparable number of us who have spent our life savings to move into the spaces that we now call home, adopting that same lifestyle. My husband and I had always envisioned our forever home in a place with wide open spaces and surrounded by farmland with plenty of acreage to finally have our horses at home. The day we found our home on Schuman Road is the day that our dreams came true. At that time, we also learned that the land alongside Schuman Road was family-owned with no obvious foresight that that would ever change. This quiet dirt road with only a handful of homes had huge fields on either side of the road as far as the eye could see. Those fields were farm crops that had been prosperous for decades prior and still continue to thrive to this day. We all know that the growth in Bulloch County is inevitable. We also know that the power to allow suburban growth to land in a rural place lies in your hands. I know a multitude of information, arguments, and public outcry regarding this potential change has been absorbed by the commissioners. There is a reason that you should deny this change, and I feel that this reason stands above all others, and it is most certainly the closest one to our hearts. What we have in Ag 5 living is working and has for many years, and for some of us, it is a dream come true. I'm here to plead with you not to allow my dream, our dreams of country living lifestyle to be destroyed by approving the rezoning request for the property in question. Please don't tarnish the way of living for the families and farmers on and around Schuman Road and Old River Road. Please do not open the floodgates for the overdevelopment to land in the middle of our quiet country spaces. Please keep the suburban growth of Bulloch County within the confines of the appropriate spaces outlined by the Smart Bulloch 2040 plan. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to share a small portion of my feelings on this matter. My only hope is that my voice has been heard, as well as others, and that you will take it into serious consideration before making your decisions regarding this particular property this evening. Thank you.
Tamar Havar.
Hello, dear Commissioners. My name is Dr. Tomas Savar. We moved here to Georgia about 9 months ago, and I'll try to use the 3 minutes and 20 seconds here very wisely. Next page, please. I kind of took the freedom to kind of zoom in to where we are. As you can see, we're at the very edge of Bulloch County. I also took the freedom to kind of make a 5-mile circus around that property, as you see there. Going south-north is Old River Road, where most of us live. Schuman Road goes off of it. It's right where there's nothing there. Just to get, food and gas is about 10-mile drive for each of us, about 10 to 15 miles to get the kids to school. There is a 40 around Brooklet where it makes sense to build, but for us right here, it's really just Ag 5 around us. Next one. I also did a little bit more research on housing. Average income of Bulloch County is about $63,000. Hyundai job postings are about $27 an hour, which makes about $54,000. The average house price in Bulloch County is about $130,000. So if you take that on that scale, income versus house price, you can see that most of it does not meet the requirements of helping Hyundai people. The homes of $350,000, you probably have to have somewhere around $110,000, $120,000 income. If you go to $430,000, Ag 5, but it's going to be a lot less houses. It's going to be somewhere around $130,000. Next one. We talked about 2,000 new homes by 2026. You guys, these are your numbers. 39 subdivisions, over 2,000 lots currently being done. This is not counting Statesboro and Brooklet. about almost 900 lots in final approval. You guys did a really great job developing our community here for the new people to come, and we're really thankful for that, being here too. The 46, 48 extra homes that we're going to get here are not going to make a difference. It's less than 2% what we're talking about here, but it has a big impact. Next slide, please. I also looked at what does it actually mean for houses. These are the houses right now being finally approved in permits. It's about 500 houses that we need per year for permit. You can see it January through July, doing a great job. We're probably on track to be in this year. We did talk about 3,000 new jobs for Hyundai, but those guys need lower housing for about $200,000. Being an engineer, I also look at the whole market that we have electrical, and I worked in electrical for a couple of years up in Portland. Lot of critical voices coming up, a lot of issues with car prices, Tesla $80,000, batteries blowing up, charging infrastructure. I don't know if you've made a trip to Atlanta in an EV, it would take 6 hours because you got to recharge halfway in there for 2 hours. So it's a lot of issues that are coming right now up. So a lot of people saying in Business Insider too, we're reaching a plateau about 7% here. So the growth might not be as big as we think it might be, though it's going to be a growth here. Last slide. And just real quick, the last 25 seconds, no positive, 7 neutral, 4 negative impacts we want to talk about. One is the school septic capacity, public services costs are going to go up. Most of it is going to be environmental, erosion, stormwater, and most of it, the land is out of use that you guys said. So and there might be some litigations coming at us with pollution that we might have here too. So we're asking to deny the request. Thank you.
You've got rebuttal time of 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
I certainly won't use all that up, Mr. Chairman. They make some good points, but these were points that were anticipated by this commission during the moratorium that went on for months to address these type concerns, even the negative impacts that were mentioned. With the subdivision ordinance in place, there are provisions in that would address these type concerns and these negative impacts, and that's what we are asking actually to do, that you make that subdivision ordinance apply to this property, which it would apply in an R40 zone. It would not apply in remaining an Ag 5 zone, and there's actually no restrictions as to how the property may develop. Now, I hear from these folks, and I understand they have the dreams to come out to the country, but those dreams are shared by a lot of other people who also want to be out in the country and in that area. I mean, that's the demand that we are seeing. That's why, these properties are being purchased for that reason. Now, as far as the prices of houses, I'm not sure exactly where those provisions are coming from, but I do know that I close purchase of homes every day. That's what I do for a living, and I haven't closed one for $130,000 in quite some time. Even the mobile homes that we're closing now are north of $130,000. I think at this point in time, the average homes are much above that, but the starter houses now are in the upper 200s, even around 300,000 for even a starter home. So, I mean, these will be quality homes. This is not something that's going to detract from this community. I saw in some of the pictures that were shown, some of the existing residences in the area and across the street. There will be nothing in this development that would detract from those beautiful homes that are already there and those people that are living there, if we're permitted to do so. And we're given this opportunity to again, use this ordinance for the benefit of not only the residents that we hope to have here, but also these members of the community that have spoken quite well here tonight. We know that this board, this commission, has been on the ground level of all this. They know the concerns, and that's why you have addressed those appropriately. Before the moratorium, there was 30 or 40 conditions to every rezone that had been approved prior to that time. And now, with the new ordinance in place, one or two, as in this case. And in fact, these conditions that have been proposed, even above what the subdivision ordinance would provide, is acceptable to Mr. Bell. He would certainly implement those. So we do ask that you use your wisdom and to grant this application for Mr. Bell to permit this subdivision to proceed as proposed. Thank you again.
We certainly appreciate y'all's presentation again. And now it's time to turn it over to the commissioners for a decision. Before I call for a motion, does any commissioners have any comments that they would like to make? Been hearing none. I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion on the new rezoning here. Around this whole thing is Ag 5. They have, most of it's all new residents. They have bought this. Why should we allow on the whole opposite of what the landscape is already set on being, change it for these people that have spent their life savings to come here? Now, I'm not, hold on. I don't need that. I can finish what I'm saying without that. Now, I appreciate everybody that said this. Everybody, we can go on and we can keep kicking the same bucket down the road here that we've been doing. This is not where this needs to go. This is 5-acre land. I wish it was more than that, to be honest with you. Current with the property values going up, everybody's struggling already now. We just made that decision. So upon that, I would like to make a motion to deny this rezoning request.
All right, we have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Okay.
You need to call for all those opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all those opposed to the motion, show of hands. All right, that's a 4-2 count. Then, I think, stepping through, I need to call for another motion.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right, I need to call for another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the request with conditions.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion. No second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor of that motion, show of hands. The motion carries by a 4-2 count. So, so the homes can go in.
Technically, for the record, Mr. Chairman, you need to call for those opposed also.
Again, all right, those opposed. All right, still, the motion to vote, the approval motion carries by 4-2 vote.
Take a good look at your election. Welcome to Savannah.
Good, okay. All right, So Commissioners, item 2 and 3 are, before we get into it, I just want to mention that the applicant for items 2 and 3 have essentially wanted to remove their cases for consideration. However, for whatever reason, they would not provide a written request, which is required by ordinance. So the only way really that for our mechanism to get these out of the just waiting around is to go ahead and have a vote by the commission to make a determination one way or the other. So with that, I can read through it real quick, and then y'all have your vote. But agenda item 2 is a rezone request. It's a text amendment to the zoning ordinance. It was submitted by Mark Can, who submitted a text amendment requesting to introduce text into the Code of Ordinances Appendix C to include definitions and performance standards for a customer-sited solar electric power generation facility and modification to Article 8, Section 802 for customer-sited solar electric power generation, as well as modification to the use chart for light industrial and heavy industrial zones. Planning and zoning recommended a denial by 6-0 vote, as well as staff, primarily due to the unresponsiveness by the applicant, recommends a denial of the case. So with that, I don't, there is no representation here tonight. Staff just asked that you would vote it down, or.
So we can do 2 and 3 at the same time?
I'll be brief in my description for 3, if that helps.
So we can go ahead and do 2.
Okay.
And- All right, there's no one here to represent. So I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to deny this.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. All right, this one is denied.
And I guess I just realized, so it would have been a conditional use application for agenda item 3. So with that not passing, we don't have to even consider it. So
Okay, all right.
I'll move on to agenda item 4. If you'll give me a moment to get my, okay, here we go. Agenda item 4 is a variance request by JFSS Properties LLC, who has submitted an application to vary the effective date of the subdivision ordinance Appendix B, which is specifically Section 13.7. The variance will allow the development of a single-family home subdivision to be developed under Appendix B-1, which is your subdivision regulations immediately prior to the adoption of the current regulations on April 4th. So, or the first part of April. I don't want to say a specific date on when y'all adopted it, but immediately preceding the current ordinance is what this variance request would allow. And Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the variance with exception to the varying of the community water system requirements and the pedestrian ways required improvement, otherwise known as sidewalks. And staff recommends a denial of the request. However, staff does acknowledge that, and I guess let me give some more background on this property. This is the property location. It's located along Highway 67, just south of Statesboro. Alford Road is the south boundary of the property. It's currently zoned R25 with a number of conditions. There was previously a sketch plan approved on this property, I believe in 2019, in the latter part of 2019. The applicant or developer did proceed through the development process in ran into a roadblock with trying to obtain the required right-of-way along Alford Road. And so, once that sketch plan, or I should say the preliminary plans or preliminary plat was not filed within the required amount of time, and so the sketch plan approval went away. So they'd have to come back and do a sketch plan. Well, in the meantime, between then and now, we've adopted a new subdivision regulations. And so to come back and create a sketch plan, they would now have to follow under the new ordinance. However, they did expend I don't know the exact dollar amount, but they did follow through on engineering of the property based on a sketch plan that was previously approved. Just with the roadblock, it kind of held things up. So that's the background of why this variance request came in. We're kind of in the midpoint of trying to transition into the new subdivision regulations. Mr. Akins and I felt that it was, it kind of fit more along with the story of, it, rather than pick and choose if any of the specific regulations in the new ordinance to vary, we felt like just go through and try and get a variance for just to come in under the old ordinance as that, rather than extend a sketch plan or anything like that. It just felt like that was the better option if you were going to grant a variance. Otherwise, who's to say precedent isn't set trying to vary specific items. So I'll entertain any questions that y'all may have. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Mr. Jim Anderson, who's the agent.
Any questions at this point? Mr. Anderson? Yeah. Sure.
Thank you, James. Mr. Chairman and Board, I do represent JFS Properties, who is Stephen Sowers, who has been a longtime builder in this county. He's built probably 600-plus homes in the last 10 years. And Jason Franklin, who's been building in this county for 10 years as well, both local builders. I wanted you to have a picture of what we've the sketch plan, and you can see on the south end of that, the Alford Road. We're basically asking to be able to develop this subdivision under the old subdivision ordinance versus the new subdivision ordinance. It was rezoned back in July 2019. It had 31 conditions. The sketch plan was approved in November of 2019. And after that, Mr. Sowers and Mr. Franklin began to do their engineering, prepare the construction plans. They prepared paid to have a soil study done on the property, paid to have wetlands approved, delineated and approved by the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Had a topographic survey done, and hired Parker Engineering to design their roads and drainage and detention areas. All of that with the presumption that they would move forward with this subdivision. As you can see, we have two entrances, one up on the north towards Statesboro and one on the south that comes into Alford Road. The one on the north is opposite Josh Deal Road and would be the create a lot more traffic at that intersection, which eventually probably will need a traffic light. So we decided to move to the south entrance on Alford Road to begin the subdivision. And in the condition number 30, in the rezone, Alford Road was to be paved to the entrance of that subdivision there that you see coming in on Alford Road. Mr. Sowers and Mr. Franklin only own one half of that Alford Road. It's a dirt road, dirt county road. And Mr. Gus Bunce owned the south one half of that road. Mr. Bunce has also had his property rezoned, and the same condition was placed on his property that he would have to pave should he get there first. So we, Mr. Sowers, Mr. Franklin, myself, Mr. Randy Newman, who is the current zoning administrator, Brad Deal, county engineer, we all tried to work with Mr. Bunce to get a deed for one half of the dirt road so we could proceed to pave it. But he would not cooperate with us. And the project was delayed because we couldn't get the right-of-way to pave it. I think Chairman Thompson, Mr. Couch, Jeff Akins were all aware of this situation, and we just couldn't get anywhere. So our 18 months of a sketch plan ran out, and now the situation has changed. Mr. Bunce has sold the property to some people who are willing to deed one half of the right-of-way so we could proceed with this project. We've already got plans drawn up to pave that Alford Road and have a decel lane there. We're ready to submit plans to DOT that would allow us to get a permit to do that. But we did not anticipate when we began the subdivision ordinance changing on us during the moratorium and then a new subdivision ordinance. So we're asking that we could come back now that we have cooperation from the neighbors to the south to pave Alford Road and be able to develop under the original subdivision ordinance. We would ask that you vote for this to let this subdivision move forward. We've engineered it. What you see there is pretty much the final drawing. We've started out as 96 lots. We're down to 92 lots now. You can see that we had some wetlands in the area, and now we've got detention ponds that would help prevent flooding downstream. And we'd like to proceed with the variance of being allowed to do the development under the old ordinance and not have to do the curb and gutter, not have to do the sidewalks. We don't object to the trying to do a better water system. The folks, I think, across the road who are willing to give us the right-of-way are going to be putting in subdivision under the new ordinance, and we would probably partner with them to do a water system and do not have any objection to beefing up the water system. I'll try to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
You know, I would like to share a point on this one because I was involved in it along with everybody that he named. And I can attest that every word he said was absolutely the truth. The person that owned the other part of the road would not deal. He went off on, I think, 2 cruises. More and more time elapsed. And I even made the statement, well, if you can't get him to work with you, then, and that's what stalled the whole project, is Mr. Sowers was willing to pay for the whole road to be paved, for turn lanes to be put in, and the owner of the other piece of property that owned half of Alford Road would not agree to that. And so time elapsed, and it's like, he didn't know this, but I mean, he's agreeable with everything except sidewalks and curb and gutter. That's all he's asking to be left out off, but he's agreeing to part of the new ordinance and asking if we would give him a variance. So, and I would never say that if I knew it was not the truth, that he tried everything he could do to get it to work with the owner of that property. And now the property has changed hands and everything has worked out. I feel like that if he could have gotten the original owner to have worked with him, he probably would have half of that subdivision developed by now. And so I just wanted to add that. So I think it's now time for commissioner questions or comments.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say, just to kind of clarify things for everybody, me and Commissioner Deal and Chairman Thompson, we met with Mr. Sowers, and we were all involved on this, and like they stated about the other property owner, rezoned all this contingent that the road was gonna get paved, and then they run into a snag, and on Mr. Sowers' on his behalf, he told us, he said, look, he said, that's what hung me up, and it was time-wise, and he come and talked to us, not really wanting anything. He just wanted to clarify the record that he got kind of caught in the trap with the moratorium and the road, and he couldn't really do anything anyway. And so when he got all that hammered out, then he said, well, and there was some information that he was given that we all talked to the people involved. It was kind of a mess, you know. We didn't all know what was going on. We knew the subdivision was going there, and he told us. He said the main thing is I want to be heard and want to state the facts of the deal. And he didn't really ask for. He said he'd do whatever he had to. But with that being said, if part of it is the county's, if part of it was our problem, and of course the ones that met all know because we all talked to everybody. If part of it's our problem, then I think that we need to. I'm not going to say what part y'all want to knock off, but if he needs some help, then only right thing to do. If we made a mistake, then I think we ought to be men enough to correct the mistake. And that's just, I just wanted to state that for everybody. And Commissioner Deal was there, and Mr. Chairman was there. I mean, Mr. Roy, the chairman, was there. So if y'all want to add to that or take away from it, it's fine with me. But I just wanted for everybody, and all the other commissioners wasn't there, I wanted them to understand. And he's in the back of the room, and his agent's right there, and y'all can ask him any questions you want to. If I wanted the whole story to be told by a commissioner that was sitting there. Thank you.
But as I understand it, he is the last one. Anybody else that comes?
Yeah. And I would like to add that, because I know how this is. I know that everybody's gonna say, oh, well, I ain't gonna have to do one or the other things of the new ordinance. I can state now, not on my behalf. The next one would do everything, because I hope we ain't made another mistake.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a point
Yes, sir.
for clarification? Jim, did you say he doesn't have a problem with meeting the community water standards under the new ordinance?
That's right.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? Then I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept it under the old ordinance, except for the upgrade in the water system. How they got to meet that, whether they got to dig their own well or if they can get it from the neighboring, whatever it takes.
Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Is any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much.
All right, agenda item number 5 tonight is a conditional use request by Julie Miller, who is seeking the conditional use of her dwelling and accessory building as a home occupation, which will be conducted out of the accessory building, which is excluding automotive repair. The specific use would be for the operation of Big Dog Snow Cone food truck and involves the production of ice blocks, storage of supplies, and food prep for the operation. The property is located at 141 Windmill Plantation Drive. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation was for approval of the staff conditions, or approval of the conditional use with the staff conditions, plus an additional condition which states that the conditional use will expire upon the transfer of parcel or property ownership. And staff recommends a denial of the conditional use request. However, staff does recommend a number of conditions if the approval is granted. Going back to our map, the property approximate location is located with a star outlined in red. This is the current zoning map. This is part of the Windmill Plantation subdivision. You'll see this property currently has a single-family home on the property with a building permit application pending approval of this, or pending the decision of this case, of which this is the site plan that was provided by the applicant, which shows the accessory building would be located in the rear of the property. And these are pictures of the property at the time the zoning notice sign was placed on the property. And the Board of Commissioners recently accepted the roadway for the road in Windmill Plantation. And so it is a county-maintained paved road. And this is the house of which the conditional use is being requested. And the food truck is located actually on the right side in the driveway for reference. But again, we do have 7 conditions that were suggested by staff. In addition, number 8 would be the planning and zoning recommendation, recommended condition. Without seeing any questions or hearing any questions from the board, I will turn it over to Ms. Julie Miller, who is the applicant.
Good evening. How are y'all tonight? Thank you for listening to us. As far as approval, I think the last meeting, they said yes with conditions. I don't know what the protocol is, but I submitted the petition. I see new faces up here today, so I didn't know if I need to pass the petition around. That the homeowners that I asked to sign, none of which were opposed. I think there was 4 people that were opposed. They were a little confused about what was going on with the conditional requests. They were concerned about workers coming in and out, like straggly people coming in and out. We're a family-owned business. We don't have employees that come. We do all the work ourselves. If we have employees, they meet us wherever we go with the food truck. They don't come to our subdivision. So can I just take this up here? The ones with dots by them are actually people that have buildings, accessory structures in their house as well. I think it was mentioned somewhere in the review that a building like this, an accessory building, wasn't cohesive with what the rest of the neighborhood was doing, and the majority of the houses there already have existing buildings according to the tax assessor website. And as far as the conditions, I think the main condition that the 4 people that showed up to the last meeting were opposed to was the food truck and the road. And now that the county's taken over the road, I think they feel a little bit better about that. I've talked to them. Obviously, none of them showed up today. And the trash delivery truck that comes to the neighborhood weighs 35,000 pounds empty. The food delivery truck weighs right at 35,000 pounds full. And I have weights of the truck from July 21st on through August 29th, all of which are right at 35,000. The least was right around 33,000 and the highest was 36,000. The reference to it actually being a semi-trailer, it is, but it is a day cab. I can pass a picture of the truck around to y'all as well. It has 10 wheels, which is the exact number of wheels that our truck and trailer have that we have for the actual food truck. So it's actually shorter as well than our food truck. Our food truck and trailer combined is 47 feet. The combined length of the delivery truck is 34 to 35 feet. I don't have a problem with any of the other conditions that the county has suggested, other than maybe the fence in the back of the yard. It's heavily wooded as is. It abuts, or it backs up to a dirt road, 5-chop road, and it's very, very wet. I don't know how I could get a fence to stand up back there, but it is naturally buffered as is. You cannot see the dirt road from the backyard of the house where the building would be placed. And I'll stop my time there because I think somebody else wants to speak, and save it for later. I handed it to them, yeah.
I'm Lindsey Martin. I'm the one that sold the lot out there, and I got a lot of calls from all the neighbors that live out there. And I don't know how many's that signed up for it or anything, but I do have an obligation to the people that I did sell the lots to, that are calling me and telling me they don't want any food businesses or any kind of businesses. Can I see the picture of the truck, please?
The trucks.
Truck's down that way.
It's the same one. So my phone's been ringing off the hook with neighbors and other people asking me to stand up and ask y'all not to approve this. In good faith, I think that I owe it to some of the people out there that's asked me to do this, because when I wrote those covenants, I didn't have this in mind at all. And I'd ask y'all to deny it. Thank you very much.
She's got rebuttal time.
As I said, there was only 4 people opposed to it that showed up at the last meeting. And the ones that did not sign that petition didn't necessarily oppose it. I just wasn't able to catch them at home to get them to say yay or nay. As far as the covenants go, the only reference to 18-wheelers is that no 18-wheeler cab or trailer dump trucks are permitted to be parked on any street or right-of-way in the subdivision. The truck is there for less than 10 minutes. We might get 5 cases of fries and 3 cases of chicken fingers. As long as it takes the man to get out of the truck, find him in the back of the truck, put him on a dolly, and roll him up to the house, that's as long as it takes. So he's not even there 10 minutes at the very most. He had been coming until Lindsay called the company himself and told them to quit delivering to our house because he owned the road and they didn't have permission to drive there. That they had been coming around 6:30 in the morning before most people were out and about going to work. As you can see in the petition, every house beyond where we live does not have a problem with it. The guy goes down there and he turns around the cul-de-sac and he goes out. Also, according to OCGA 32-626, it references on any public road of a county road system, the maximum total gross weight of a vehicle and load shall not exceed 56,000 pounds unless the vehicle is making a pickup or delivery on such road. The truck never goes anywhere near that. Sorry, I'm nervous. I guess that's all I have to say. I would appreciate approval. Most of our neighbors, we've gotten to know over the past 5 months that we've been there. When we purchased the house from Michelle Franklin, the realtor, she told us, you know, is there going to be we asked her specifically several times, is there going to be any problem with us having the food truck and trailer in that neighborhood? No, there's 5, 6, 7, there's a bunch of people running businesses out of their house and have buildings. The picture you see on the screen, it's our intention that we're going to extend the concrete so the trailer and truck are actually not visible from the front of the house. So where the back of the trailer is where the front of the truck will be, according to the plan that we've submitted. You know, but she told us that there's lots of other people that run businesses out of their homes. They have buildings that are just for that. There's another neighbor that runs a DJ business. His trailer sits out in the middle of his yard. You know, I don't know who's calling Lindsay, but none of the neighbors that I've spoke to have had a problem with it. So I would appreciate your consideration for approval.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get more of my time?
Sure.
So, yes, I was the one that called them because I spent $41,000 on those roads out of my own pocket to get those. Yes, I was the one that called them because I worked with the county to get them best I could. Second of all is the people that's called me are on the right side and left side and the cul-de-sac down there. The other problem I got with it is they're gonna have to have a grease trap in the back, I'm told. I don't know that for sure. So that makes the health department get involved in it in a residential subdivision. I've never heard of that before. The last problem is that the architectural committee, which is me, has to sign off on this, and I haven't seen anything of that. And I just recommend denial to it. Thank you.
Do I have time left?
Yes, ma'am. $3:05.
I actually already have the septic tank permit approved by the health department, and that's sitting on go if y'all choose to approve. And as far as, I can't remember the other thing he said. I'm super nervous. I'm sorry. I guess that's all. Thank you.
I just, actually, the grease trap's prohibited by the condition, so that's not going to be allowed, right, James?
That's correct, yes. Is it a septic tank or a grease trap?
Septic tank with a small grease trap, and this health department has already approved that. I already have the permit.
Well, that doesn't matter whether the health department's approved it or not. It's not allowed by these conditions, so you can't do it.
Is that in the statutes for Bulloch County?
That's in these conditions that you said you didn't have any problem with.
Okay, well, I have a problem with that one, I'm sorry.
I yield my time.
Okay, everyone's through. You know, we're hearing some conflicting stories here. But commissioners, you have any questions?
Just to ask, and I don't know, you may want to ask for it to be tabled as far as your grease trap. You can actually dump that thing at Portal or Met or either one. Same place the pump trucks go to pump all that out. So I don't know exactly the conditions as far as if the conditions say that, then you're going, I don't know, would that be have to apply for a variance, but in the conditions, James, or what's the deal with that? I mean, if it can't have it, it can't have it.
So, right, if you approve this with the conditions, then you just would not be able to install a grease trap. And so if they installed a grease trap, whether the health department approves it or not, we would rescind this conditional use. You have vested that power with the planning director. So we would take the conditional use approval away and go to magistrate court if there's a violation of the conditions.
Any additional comments or thoughts?
And I have clarification on, are you talking about a grease bin where we're dumping grease, or like a grease trap that filters water into the septic tank? Because
I'm gonna have to let the professional grease trapper down on that end answer, and I will. I'm gonna make an exception.
we will not have a grease bin located on the property. That wasn't our intention.
Well, here's what the condition says. I think we need to read it. Installation of a grease trap or other device to store bulk fluids, oils as a use or byproduct of this business is prohibited.
Is that referring to the septic tank grease trap or a grease bin? I'm not real.
I don't know, is the septic tank grease trap going to store bulk fluids or oils as a use or byproduct of your business?
Fluids. It's catching when you do dishes or things like that might be greasy. It's catching like household grease. If you washed a frying pan, that would be the.
Well, that condition probably needs some clarification then. The conditions are whatever y'all decide to impose, so you can change it.
If you look at it in the light that it's an extra step you have to take for this conditional use, then it kind of falls out of line of what a home occupation is. And so any additional provision that you would have outside of just a normal septic tank goes above and beyond what a home occupation anticipates. So that's the reason for the condition.
To try to clarify this, I ain't gonna get real deep in it. A septic tank's got a distribution box like the one you live on. And a restaurant has a grease trap that catches the grease that when you wash your fryers or whatever, then it catches the grease, it stores the grease in the grease trap. The runoff gray water goes on into the septic tank lines and all. So the grease trap is a total different thing besides your septic tank. Now, like a restaurant has a grease trap, a home does not have a grease trap, so if it's the conditions, so just to explain that, it's two different things. A septic tank system and a grease trap is two different things. And so I've never heard of this being an issue at a home as far as, but to get away from just like anything, like a pump truck or anything, I mean, you got a holding tank on that unit you got there, and that catches your gray water, and just like a camper, gray water and black water and all that. Well, you won't be allowed to dump it in that subdivision, but you can carry it to a place just like a pumper truck does or anything, and you can set up an account and dump it there. And therefore, you won't have to have.
We currently have a collection bin that we dump our old oil in and out of the fryers, and there's a company that comes, picks it up and recycles it to biodiesel.
So again, that goes to the land use and the smell of, does it produce an odor?
That would not be on that property. We're putting that as his parents' house. So we'll dump the oil at his parents' house that they've agreed to let us put there. Because that's what I understood the bulk oil to mean in the conditions.
We're gonna turn it back over to commissioners now. Was that a deferral motion that you made a few minutes ago?
I think it was. I think it'd be.
Would you clarify it and make it again?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we defer this until the next meeting to give them time and opportunity to work out some of these issues.
Was that the first meeting in October? Defer
Be fine.
to that meeting? Okay.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. We're going to defer this decision to the next meeting.
Agenda item 6 is a conditional use application by Robert K. Bell Jr. Investments, who's requesting a manufactured home to be placed on a single lot located in an R40 zoning zone. The property is located at 7749 Bowie Driggers Road. Planning and zoning recommends approval by a 6-0 vote. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use request. Again, going back to our map, see the star where the approximate location of the property is just to the east of Brooklet. And this is the property outlined in blue. It's R40 zone with residential zoning around it. However, there's very few single-family structures around the property. The roadway is a county-maintained dirt road. And currently, this property sits vacant. And this is the property as it was pictured at the time of when we placed the sign on the property. And some year or so ago, the zoning ordinance changed to where R40 zoning required a conditional use for a manufactured home. However, previously there was a manufactured home on the property. So with that, I'll turn it over to Shelby. Right, Shelby, I apologize, your last name? Morrell. Shelby Morrell is here acting as agent.
Good evening. My name is Shelby Morrell, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Robert K. Bell Jr. Investments, Inc., the owner of this property, which you can see from the aerial views sits on both the east and west side of Bowie Driggers Road. This property was previously rezoned to allow for multiple manufactured homes by the prior owner, Mr. Martin. At the time, Mr. Martin put a manufactured home on the west side of Bowie Driggers Road. Manufactured homes were a permitted use in R40 zoning. Subsequently, the county did a text amendment to the zoning ordinance in which manufactured homes became a conditional use in R40. Just over a year ago, in the result of being sold, the manufactured home was moved off of the property and was not replaced within the time frame the county allows before requiring an application for conditional use. Therefore, we are here tonight to ask permission to be able to allow for manufactured homes on this R40 track. Jim and I are here tonight to answer any questions.
Has anyone signed up my position?
We have Michael Bailey.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Bailey. I live on, right off of Slater-Hagen Road. I apologize to the commissioners. I'm a little tired. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, going to work. But the good news is I'm going to plan on retiring at the end of this month. So I see a light at the end of the tunnel. So I have 10 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I have 10 minutes. All right, so I got a question. And if you want to answer, you can answer. If you don't want to answer, then I'll take it for what it's worth. Last county commissioners meeting, we had 10 minutes for a different issue. And when I asked for time for a rebuttal, I was told by Mr. Thompson, there is no rebuttal. Whatever time you use, we'll give to Robbie Bell. So I just sit up here and watch this gentleman right here do his. He stopped and he said, I want to save time for rebuttal, and that was agreeable. So in my line of work, inconsistency will destroy you.
Sir, in my job here, I've never said that.
Well, go back and look at your records, because you certainly did, sir. And I got so livid, but I didn't say anything.
I wish you
And I was told not to make this commissioners mad. I was told to behave myself, and I did. Well, you folks work for us. We don't work for you. So is this trailer, and ma'am, I apologize to you, I'm not trying to offend you. Is this in the plan? In the new plan? Because I keep seeing you guys throw that map up there. It's in the plan, it's in the plan. Well, you certainly didn't really care if it was in the plan for mine that we were talking about on Schuman Road. I will give you 700 reasons why that's important, and I'm ashamed of each and every one of you, and I hope you sleep good tonight. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the one thing that I do know is I know 700 people will not vote for nobody on this board. So I hope you remember that. And with that being said, oh yeah, we have all intentions of suing this county commissioners for putting this plan together and not following it. I don't know why. You guys are on a roll. You really are. You dropped our taxes up tremendously. You could have took that money you wasted on the plan and maybe not make my taxes go up quite so much. So I apologize because I'm a little livid, but I kept it civil. I appreciate your time. I withdraw my opposition to Missy Robbie Bell putting a trailer. He's probably going to put a trailer park. He's really good at that. Look at Eldor Farms. So you guys have ruined Old River Road. You got one subdivision, you got another one coming, and everybody's just high-fiving. I hope you're proud of yourselves. Thank you for your time.
Eleanor Ellis.
Have a good night. Wrong piece of paper, I apologize.
Okay. Donna Clifton. And Mike Clifton. Okay.
I thought we was talking about something else.
That's it.
I thought we were talking about something else.
I'm going to do something. We've got 6 minutes and 57 minutes left on that. Jeff, I want you to do something. I know the last 3-4 weeks has been heck. But I'm not going to call, now, I want to take a 60-acre tract. Let me ask my question and we'll start the time. I want you to take a 60-acre tract, Ag 5. This has got nothing to do with any vote tonight, but tell us what can go on a 60-acre tract of land and how many. This is what we were talking about a few minutes ago.
Using the family provision.
Yes.
Well, the family provision does allow in Act 5, the owner to deed a minimum of 1 acre to a family member as defined in the ordinance to place a single-family residence. There has to be at least an acre left in the parent tract. So theoretically, I mean, depending on how many family members you had, you could create quite a few lots, but it is limited to family members.
But if it's all family members, you could put 5 trailers, mobile homes. I used to live in a mobile home, so I'm not going to call it a trailer. You could put 5 mobile homes on a 5-acre tract through the family provision as long as it is family members.
Yes.
So you got, in a 60-acre tract, you've got 12 5-acre tracts.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So 5 mobile homes on each one of those 5-acre tracts, 12 tracts, that's 60 mobile homes.
You'd have to have a really big family to do that.
But it's possible.
But theoretically. And, you also might have access issues, but I don't know about that.
With
right off
no
the top of
paved
my head.
roads.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to, I don't think the flag lot provision, James, right, is that right? It doesn't apply? I haven't looked at that recently, but we were talking about it earlier. It doesn't apply to the family provision.
That's right. Flag lots do not apply in family provision.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you theoretically, you could, I don't know how likely that would be to happen, but yeah, theoretically.
That's what I'm thinking, I mean, sometimes, worse things can happen, I suppose. I don't know. But because we may see something like this again. And, so, all right, then I just ask that for the folks that are here. And, so anyway, we're going to move now to, item number 7.
I think we have to vote on 6.
6.
Commissioner.
Okay. Now that shows you. All right. We're through with the presentation. Do we have a motion on number 6?
Is it 6 or 8?
6.
6, okay.
6.
I have my reading glasses.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much, and now we will move to item number 7.
All right, agenda item 7 is a rezone request to rezone 30.62 acres from an R80 to an Ag 5 zoning. Mr. Paul Smith is the property owner, which is located at 339 Ballpark Road. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval by a 6-0 vote, and staff recommends approval of the rezone request. Shown on the map is a star highlighted in red. It's just southeast of Stilson. There is R80 zoning that kind of surrounds Stilson. So this zoning was placed on the property, I believe, in the original ordinance and zoning map in 1994. So the property owner, again, is requesting to go to an Ag 5 zoning, which just one parcel over, there is Ag 5 zoning. The parcel does meet Ag 5 zone requirements, and so it is eligible for rezoning into Ag 5. This is the property at the time of the zoning notice sign placement. And again, it currently used in agricultural and timber use. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Paul Smith, who is the owner and applicant. I thought I saw him here earlier, but okay, well, I guess Mr. Smith is not here, but
We won't hear the rest of it then.
We do have Pam Schuman, John Schuman, Michael Bailey. We have a number of people signed up for it.
4. Okay. But John Schuman is the applicant?
Paul Smith is here.
Paul Smith.
Paul Smith.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I thought I saw him earlier, but I don't see him now. But he may have had to leave. I don't know. But it's up to y'all's discretion whether you want to vote on it or defer it until the next when he's here, I guess. But
We do have 5 citizens signed up for the sign-up sheet.
But
so yeah, it is a public hearing, so we would need to hear him.
But Paul Smith is not here.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
We normally have a policy if who submits the application is not here, then we don't hear it. Am I wrong, commissioners?
Right, I mean, ain't nobody here to represent it, usually it's a no-go, so.
Well, there's some people here for it, but the gentleman that's supposed to be here to present it is not here.
I think my suggestion would be to hear the folks who have signed up to speak during the public hearing. And then I think maybe you can decide on the efficacy of the presence of Mr. Smith.
I think that's a good decision. All right?
So we have Pam Schuman, right here. John Schuman. Michael Bailey. Donna Clifton.
No comment.
And Eleanor Ellis. No comment? Okay. That's it.
I think they're confused.
Commissioners, any discussion, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we defer it till Mr. Smith is here.
Okay.
Next meeting, October.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval that this is deferred. That completes the zoning agenda. We will have now approval of the general agenda, but before I entertain a motion to approve, do we have any other discussion or modifications desired by the county manager or the board?
Will the chairman yield the floor, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Out of public necessity and for the good of the citizens of Bulloch County, we ask for the following modification to the general agenda at the request of the county attorney to add item number 2 under new business. And that item would be a resolution of the Bulloch County Board of Commissioners to authorize the conveyance of 0.469 acres of real property to the Hospital Authority of Bulloch County. And with no other further modifications, I yield the floor back to the chair.
All right. Adding that to the new business. If there's nothing else, do I have approval of a motion to approve the general agenda?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. It's my pleasure now to read the consent agenda, 11 items. And we can, if any of these you want to move to new business, we can, or we can vote on them collectively. One is to approve the minutes for the August 7th, 2023 meeting, approve the minutes for August the 14th, 2023 meeting, approve a resolution to establish a special streetlight district for Phase 4 of River Bluff subdivision. Number 4, approve a resolution to approve the location of a paving project for Josh Smith Road. 5, a motion to approve the replacement of the concrete slab at the Stilson Fire Department. 6, motion to approve the acceptance of Georgia Recreation and Park Association, GRPA, Boost Grant Award for 2023-2024 school year. Motion to approve the purchase of computer replacements through Georgia Technologies in the amount of $28,400. Motion to approve Belly fireworks bid for the annual Firecracker Fest fireworks display. Number 9, motion to approve the PPE purchase for the 2023 GFSTC fireworks tax grant for volunteer firefighters. 10, motion to approve Public Works Spiroplast pipe purchase from Cherokee Culvert Company Incorporated in the amount of $18,150. Item number 11, approve a resolution to adopt the amendment to the Bulloch County Official Comprehensive Plan, Smart Bulloch 2040, for the purpose of revising the future development map and the suburban corridor and suburban neighborhood character areas. Like I have stated before, we can vote on these collectively or anything you want to move to new business now. Let's.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as read.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion with a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much. Now, under new business, Mr. David Campbell, if you would come present what you have, please.
Afternoon, David Campbell, Airport Manager. We have two committee members who need to be reappointed, of Josh Whitfield and Doug Lambert to the Airport Committee. We just need y'all's approval for that. They'll be serving 6-year terms each.
Okay. Y'all heard the request. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman, as stated.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much. Number 2 is a resolution to convey property to the Hospital Authority. Tom, you've said it, but do you have anything to add?
No, not really. This is just a conveyance, a simple conveyance of an odd-shaped parcel back to the Development Authority, which I think is intended to make another transfer to a worthy healthcare provider. So we have it's sort of a remnant parking lot, and we really don't have any planned use for it in the future because it's odd-shaped and you really can't develop it. So we're asking that you consider conveying this back to the Hospital Authority for said use.
All right, do we have any questions? And I'll ask for a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Public comments. At this time, how many do we have signed up?
5.
We have 5 folks signed up to speak under public comments, and each one of you will certainly have 5 minutes to speak on any topic that you would like to speak about, and we'll start the clock whenever you get up and get started. So, who's first?
Lynn Fatika.
Trust me, I won't be up here 2 minutes. Good evening, Chairman Thompson, Commissioners, Mr. Couch, Ms. Mincy White. I'm addressing you tonight as the chair of the Democratic Party, but not on the subject you think I'm going to come up here and make comments on. Tonight, on the direction of our party, I've been asked to say thank you to all the members of the emergency management team, Ted Wynn and his team, the sheriff, his deputies, Chief Ben, and the fire department, Dirk and the public works team, and everyone who kept us informed and safe and got the county back to normal as quickly as possible after hurricane. I'd also like to thank the Board of Commissioners and staff for getting the emergency proclamation written, signed, so affected citizens can apply for the needed state emergency funds. Thank you to the local media, especially Grace Connect and the Statesboro Herald, for keeping us up to date on road closures and other important information. And finally, a big thank you to both power companies and their crews for getting the power restored as quickly as possible so that we could return back to normal life. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. I know everybody worked tirelessly to get all of that accomplished, and these people that were without power for 2 and 3 weeks, I suppose, most of us had 24 hours, and it was too long. So, next.
William Puchala.
I'm William Puchala. I live at 207 Blueberry Court. If you all want to come see me, you're more than welcome. Okay? Ms. Thompson, I appreciate your phone call today, talking to you, and I appreciate you having me up here to speak today.
Yes, sir.
Don't know where to go, but I'll start it with this way. I've lived in this county for 19 years. I went overseas. I got hurt in Afghanistan. I came home. I met my wife, and I moved here. Okay? I gave a lot for this country. Okay? And all of you up there voted to be on that board by people who you say you're going to listen to. Okay, great. I can say a lot of things too. But you didn't listen when you went to that millage rate. Not one bit. You might have heard us, but you didn't listen. I've been drag racing since I was 13 years old. We get down to 4 people and there's $5,000 on the pot. There's 2 things you can do. You can split it 4 ways or you race it off. But everybody has to be unanimous. If one of those 4 people say no, you race for it. You had 40-something people come up here opposed to this. Hundreds out here that say they don't want it. Who did you listen to? None of them. Every time the county needs something, you go to the taxpayer. You go to the guy who owns the land. Well, when are you going to stop it? When are you going to say, hey, you know what? You guys have paid a lot. You've given a lot. Let's lower that sum. No, let's just keep hiking it up. Hyundai's coming, making all of our property value go up. Okay? You got people breaking up land. You know what that does? Hikes value up. Great. That's awesome. I don't plan on selling my house. I love it. I don't care if it's worth $10 million in 50 years. Right now, I live in my home. I pay my mortgage. I pay my tax on the land that I bought. But every year it's going up. When are you going to stop? I pay for the services I'm having. I pay for all the stuff that's at my home. I pay for everything that's there. But yet we got to spruce the place up and get it ready for the people that might be coming to Hyundai. Well, what about that guy? What about him? What about him? What about her? What about her? You think it matters to them if Hyundai's coming? They might live in Portal. You think they're going to drive all the way to Bryan County for that? No, they're not. Hyundai is putting an unwanted burden on the Bulloch County taxpayer. All the people that are selling their land and breaking it up are putting an unwanted burden on the Bulloch County taxpayer.
That's right.
When's it going to stop? Ain't nobody, it's never going to stop. Because every time the county needs something, who are you going to hit up? The cash cow, the property tax owner. You said, if I'm lying, go look at the property tax rate. Every time you need money, who you hit up? The tax owner, the property owner. When are you going to stop? When are you going to stop? Okay? Every time I need something, if I need tires on my vehicle and my bills, I have this much money at the beginning of the month, I know what my budget is, I have an unexpected budget, I have money in savings, I got to dip into my savings to cover my bills. Okay? I understand y'all have $15 million in an unused account. Okay? That's y'all's saving account for a rainy day when you need something, right? When the government shuts down. Why can't you take from that and use it and replenish it slowly? That's an option. Don't want to do that. Let's just hit the tax owner. We can get it now. The people of this county are sick of it. I'm passionate about it because I bought that land. I pay my taxes. I follow the laws. But does that matter when it comes to y'all voting on my taxes that I got to pay for, that I have to work for? No. You took the money anyway. When are you going to stop? Any of y'all can rebut anytime you want. When's it going to stop? Why don't you call Hyundai and ask them to pay this expense? I didn't ask for it. They brought it. These people you just approved to break more land up. You know what that's going to do? Drive everything up some more. When are we going to stop? Y'all think about that whenever you go to bed at night. How can we start helping the Bulloch County tax and property owner instead of making them pay, pay, pay? When can we stop? And I appreciate your time, but I'm passionate about it because I work for everything I own. And you're just going to keep taking. And y'all need to stop it.
Tim Powell.
Good evening. I'll start by saying that the reason I'm wearing all black tonight is that I'm still in mourning for the Bulloch County property taxpayers. after the record-setting 4-minute, 26-second, August 22nd commission meeting where you voted to saddle the taxpayers with what may be the largest one-year property tax increase in Bulloch County recorded history, doing irreparable financial harm to our senior citizens, our young citizens that are trying to get ahead in life, our disabled citizens trying to get by in life, and our poor citizens trying to provide for their families. At that point, I resolved to become engaged. I heard from elected officials and unelected officials, we've got to catch up. We've kicked the can down the road. We've got to plan for the future growth. Well, speaking of future growth, in the question and answer section of the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Amendment, there is this question, quote, how will the planned growth accommodate an increase in services and infrastructure such as EMS, fire, roads, etc., unquote. The answer provided by someone in the county management, quote, planning early and continuing to consider land use changes with a set of standards will enable Bulloch County to control the pace of growth with minimal burden to taxpayers. I guess 30% is minimal to you guys. After making this resolution, I read the agenda packets and minutes to every county commission meeting to date since January 2022. I was looking to be more informed on the budget process. I discovered that our county government has a big technology problem. A work session that appears on the schedule for January 31 of this year has no agenda packet, no summary, and no minutes. When you click on it, it says, the meeting is unavailable at this time. Please check back later. Was this meeting held? If so, what happened at the meeting and what was it about? Then, on March 22nd, a budget retreat was held at the Gene Bishop Fieldhouse. On the agenda, it states a start time of 8:30 a.m. and an end time of 4:30 p.m. So the stated purpose of the workshop was departmental budget presentations. Aha, I thought. I'm finally getting to where I want to be, so I clicked on budget presentations, and lo and behold, what did I see? A blank page with the following message: error. The document appears to be corrupted and cannot be loaded. Is this a sunshine law violation? What was said that was corrupt or corrupted? Why were the written versions of the presentations not attached to the agenda packet? What's going on here? The next day, you had the same meeting to continue the departmental presentations, and the exact same thing. That one's corrupt too. Your IT problems don't end there. On August 23rd of this year, I emailed each commissioner a question about the Bulloch County Correctional Institute. As of today, I have received a response from only Mr. Rushing. Thank you. So after all your promises to have open communications with your constituents, I can only assume that your email is also not working. Enough about your IT problems. I have had conversations with at least 100 people about the mess we call Bulloch County government, and one question that always comes up is, what about these water wells? So, on the record, I want to ask these questions. I understand you're not going to answer them right now, but if you know the answers, if you want to answer them later in the meeting, fine. If not, I would like for you to answer them in public, on the public record, at a later date. How many wells are planned, including the ones owned by Bryan County? What size wells are they? How much water will they be pumping per day? How much do the wells and their supporting infrastructure cost? How is it paid for? I would appreciate it very much if you could answer it by the end of the meeting, but I understand there's details in there that you might not have on hand. But please don't ask me to call or come meet with you, because all the citizens need to know the answer to these questions, not just me. So let's get the answers on the public record, and I hope they don't end up corrupted.
Ricky Parrish. Ricky Parrish. Lawton Sack.
Good evening. As I've shared before, I've lived here my entire life, and this is without a doubt the most divided I've ever seen this community. And it's all based on the inaction of our elected officials, which many of you are. Others of y'all work for the elected officials. All of you work for the citizens of Bulloch County. We've got a great problem where we've got people in this county that do not feel like their voices are being heard by elected officials, whether at the city of Statesboro, which is most likely about to go up on their millage rate as well, here at the county commission, and also at the Board of Education. I know y'all are hearing this repeatedly from people. I don't know if you hope that it will disappear, but I think after the actions tonight, you've got an even larger group of people that are upset at the elected officials. We've got a huge problem here. We've got a lot of questions. We've got a lot of information, a lot of data that has been requested. As Mr. Powell says, there seems to be a communication problem between the elected officials and the people that you represent. I think in March, when it comes time for qualifying, and in May, when it comes time for the primary elections, that you're going to see a lot of people speaking up at that time. I've mentioned this before 2 months ago at a commission meeting. I warned y'all that this was going to happen after speaking with numerous people of this community. I was told I said that as a threat. I think we have now seen it as a reality that is coming to pass. I've served on the Board of Elections since April 1st of this year. Because of state law, I had to step down when I qualified to run for the city of Statesboro, their city council. That was a tough decision. I've worked in elections for over 20 years in this county, but I saw a need for the people in the city of Statesboro to have a voice in their government. It was something that Noel Brown challenged us to, Chairman Thompson challenged us to. If we didn't like it, put our name on the ballot. I stood up and I did that. I hope we can make changes in the city of Statesboro. I hope it comes on this county commission. I hope it comes on the Board of Education, because we got people in this community that love Bulloch County. We come together for items like, or people like Georgia K. We come together for Georgia Southern football. We come together for a lot of things that we have in common in Bulloch County. But we're at this point now as a county where it feels like y'all are not on the same page as your citizens are. And we want to work together for a better Bulloch County. We want to do this as Republicans and Democrats and independents of coming together. We want to come together and come up with ideas. And we presented those, but we feel like that our voice was shut down once again. And so it has come to the time now, as Mr. Powell says, as the gentleman before him, there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of people that are going to let their voices be heard. We need you to listen. When somebody emails you, respond to them. When somebody calls and texts, respond to them. Even if you got to give them bad news and say, I've got to do the tough thing, answer them. Do not be silent when they reach out to you. That is the last thing you need to do. And I know y'all have opinions. I've spoken with all of you. You shared your heart with me at times about difficult decisions. But you've got to listen to the citizens of Bulloch County and respond to them. If you do not have the time to respond to an email, don't run next year. If you don't have time to respond to the citizens, don't put your name on the ballot. You asked us if we're tired of this, if we want to make a change, to put our name on the ballot. And we're going to have people doing that. But do thus the courtesy of not putting your name on that ballot next year or in 2 years and saying we need other people that are willing to stand up and listen. It's okay to have a business and be busy. I'm busy. And I have to do this as a volunteer to come before you. And some of y'all are probably tired of hearing from me, and that's okay. I'm going to keep coming. I don't have a seat on the board anymore, so I don't have to keep my seat back there any longer. And I can stand up and I can speak, and I'm going to do that. Do the same for us as citizens.
And we certainly do appreciate your comments and everybody coming tonight. And this Does any of the staff have any comments?
If the chairman will yield, please. Come this Friday, we believe the Board of Education will be passing a resolution on their tax levy and digest. And in anticipation of that, I think because Bulloch County collects taxes on behalf of the Board of Education, as you know, normally you pass a resolution along with the county's resolution on taxes, but the school board has been put behind because they chose to have an additional 3 hearings. So again, the assumption being that they may pass a resolution on their tax levy this Friday, September 8th at 12 p.m. The decision has to be made as to when you all want to meet to ratify their decision with a resolution so the tax commissioner can collect such taxes. I don't know what the additional hearings will bring, but I do anticipate that this Friday at 12, the BOE will make a decision. So I think to handle things most expeditiously, we may want to meet, have a called meeting, perhaps this Friday at a time of mutual convenience after the Board of Education has made their decision. I wouldn't anticipate that being longer than 12:30 unless they have considerable deliberation. So ultimately, since many of you are employed or have businesses, you may want to meet later in the afternoon. Monday might be stretching it a little bit. I think the tax commissioner was willing, if I'm not mistaken, to work through the weekend to get the paperwork that she needs done to send the digest to the Department of Revenue in Atlanta. So I don't know if Ms. Steinman or Ms. King have anything more to add. So ultimately, we ask what your decision would be to have a meeting to ratify the Board of Education's tax digest and levy.
And I think it would be agreeable that whatever time we're needed, that we can be there.
Would a preference be later in the afternoon, like the end of the day? Sometime? We really kind of need some suggestions from y'all because we kind of know your schedules, but you know them better than we do.
What time will they finish, you think? 2 o'clock?
That would be a safe harbor, probably be way before that, but yeah.
Could we meet at 3 o'clock? And that'll be a few-minute meeting or however how long it takes? Does that work?
Yeah.
All right, 3 o'clock it would be then. You'll send out a memo?
Yes.
Okay. I want to call Fire Chief Ben Tapley up here, and Dink, if y'all would make your way up here also. And we got, I know it seems like we have nothing but bad news, but I I was going to do this, but I want the fire chief to make this announcement. If you'll turn around and make it to the folks out there and let them know about the ISO rating that we've just received.
All right, sir. We just received our ISO rating back, and we are moving to a class 4Y. So for what that means is we are class 5, so December 1st we'll be going down to a class 4 for those within 5 miles of a fire station. And then we try to get a straight class. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. We try to get it for everybody. We tried hard, but we did get an 8B with the old 8B, so we're trying to make improvements. We're working hard for you and trying to get everything in place to save you some money on your insurance premiums every month, so.
Thank you very much, and y'all been working very hard to accomplish this.
Yes, sir, a lot of work by a lot of volunteers and our paid firefighters and Ms. Pat back there, and Brian Hendricks, of course, and Mr. Ted Wynn, and of course with y'all's support as well, Mr. Couch, Ms. Steinman, and Christine. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Dink, if you would.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come to you this evening. I just wanted to take this opportunity. We have filled our Assistant Public Works Director position, and I would like to introduce him to y'all. Many of you already know him, and many of you already know he's employed. He started October the 27th. Mr. Robert Siemens, if you'll come forward. Robert has retired from the city with the Public Works there put in 30 years with the city, I think. And now he's part of our team, and we wanted to welcome him aboard and offer him to y'all for any questions or give him a chance to speak to you.
You want to make a few comments, Robert?
Just wanted to say that I greatly appreciate this opportunity and look forward to working with y'all and the citizens of Bulloch County. I do live in Portal, and my home is here, has been here, and will stay here.
Any comments?
Glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you come. I've been knowing Robert for, I don't know, all my life, I guess. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other staff comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Then hearing none, commissioner comments? Hearing none, then I'm compelled to read this. I must now call for a motion to adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of OCGA 5014-3B2 and other applicable laws pursuant to the advice of County Attorney Jeff Akins for the purpose of discussing personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion, second. All those in favor? Unanimous. We are now into